It's an informational, educational kind of event that the Kaufman Foundation put together. Kaufman, and that means we're live. Is that correct? Or we're just saying yay. Sweet. Basically, Kaufman Foundation, Kaufman Labs put this together just a few years ago, and we're now one of, I want to say, 88 cities across the U.S. that is doing 1 million cups, that's bringing entrepreneurs together to hear stories from companies that are growing, hearing a little bit about their challenges, how they operate, and then really having a conversation about how we as a community can help them grow. But we find that that also helps us, learn how to grow our own businesses. So we want to thank you for coming out and joining us this morning. We've got a little bit of a special event this morning, maybe even not little, but a great special event this morning. One of the groups that's really been making a difference, not just in Albuquerque, but throughout New Mexico, and now beginning to have national and global impact, is creative startups. You've heard of the number of different accelerators that are happening here in New Mexico and the explosion of those that have happened across the world, but there hasn't been one that really focused on the creative entrepreneurs until now. And one of the reasons for that is we've got some people with some awesome expertise in this whole global, this global ecosystem of creative entrepreneurs. And I'm talking about Tom Agason, who's been here. You've seen him and sort of hanging off to the sides from time to time, and also Alice Loy, who we're welcoming here this morning. And let's not hear from me anymore. Let's hear from Alice a little bit about creative startups.
Awesome. Hi, good morning. How is everybody? How many people here have heard of creative startups? Wow, that's pretty good. Hopefully, some of you raise your hand if you've heard anything good about creative startups. Okay, that's a fair question. So Tom and I founded Creative Startups actually about 10 years ago, and have done a lot of work around New Mexico and the country, but 3 years ago decided that there was this gaping hole in terms of serving entrepreneurs in the creative industries. So we're talking about entrepreneurs who use technologies in creative industries such as film, music, sound editing, education, architecture, etc. Some of the companies you have heard of that we've worked with include Meow Wolf. Everybody's probably heard of Meow Wolf. They came through the accelerator in 2014 and attribute some of their success to us. And today you're going to hear from Sydney, who also came through in 2014. We have applications open right now, and we accept startups from all over the world. Last year we had 3 startups from New Mexico, 3 from the US, and 3 from outside the US. It's a competitive program. We have about 60 mentors from both New Mexico and around the world, and a rigorous curriculum. Everybody's always a little bit surprised at how tough the program is, I think. But at the end, the startups that come through end up doing pretty well. I think we can honestly say that. As an example, I don't know if Sydney would share her revenues, so I will. She's been in business less than 24 months and is going to hit 300K in revenues this year. So she's a rock star. And is typical, I think, of the entrepreneurs who come through our program in that she's very ambitious, determined to do something related to community, culture, creativity. She uses technologies extremely well. She's very well networked and is determined to build the business. So, any questions about creative startups, what we do, the program, or anything else? Well, there you go. That was easy. There you go. I just solved everything, I guess. Yeah. The curriculum is about 6 weeks long. We built it with Stanford professors who helped us figure out what were the elements that we needed to focus on for creatives. It's sort of best of class. We adapt it every year to suit the needs of the incoming class, and we update it. But it's a 6-week online, very interactive course that people can do remotely. Most of the startups that come through have achieved a little bit of revenue, so maybe $5, $10, $50,000. When they leave 10 weeks later, most of the startups have made a pivot to a different direction, so they've figured out a more profitable business model. They've interacted with customers, and so they've determined what areas of their product they really need to focus on and develop out. They've met investors. They've got a team of mentors who are signed up to help them do what they need to do for the next year or two. And I think most of all, they leave with a sense of confidence that they can do what they're trying to do. Because being an entrepreneur is tough. It can be a little bit of a lonely road. And so in a lot of ways, we become your bench. Yeah, so Sydney came through in 2014, and we talk, I don't know, twice a week, probably. So we stay in touch, as do all the mentors. We have one of our mentors, Al, is here. And Al and I were just catching up on 2 of the companies that he's still in touch with. So we definitely continue to mentor and continue to make introductions. I'm on the Meow Wolf Investment Council, et cetera. So, I mean, we really do stay pretty involved as much as we can and as much as people want us to. Last one. Yeah, so we do not take equity. We're a nonprofit. We could take equity, but it's not really our business model, so we don't take equity. We do charge $795 per person, and mostly that covers a portion of the stay at Hotel Andaluz. So everybody stays at Hotel Andaluz for 5 days during our deep dive. And most of the program is covered. We have a Kauffman Foundation grant. We have funds from the city of Albuquerque, UNM, National Science Foundation. So the bulk of the cost is covered by grants, but we do ask that the startups chip in and get some skin in the game. You had a question?
How do you define creative? Are these different types of artists, or?
So the creative industries are actually defined by the Department of Commerce, and so you can look up what are the creative industries. They are, you can go on our website, we have a lot of information there, but they're architecture, advertising, film, music, digital media, design, product design, graphic design, museums, etc. So it's much broader. Artist, I would say, is one very, very small part of that. And we don't, if you're an individual artist looking to do more art, we're not a good fit for you. We grow creative companies. So we work with entrepreneurs who are growing companies in the creative industries.
Maybe one more question? You've got plenty of time, but we'll see. So one of the things that I think was really, really cool, and I forget how many months ago, was that the Kaufman Foundation awarded you some additional money to expand the program to other sites nationally. Can you talk about, you've grown this operation locally, and now you're replicating in other locations. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we actually received the first grant from the Kauffman Foundation ever made in the creative industries. And they recognized that the work that we were doing was, in part, it was working, but it was also at the cutting edge of the explosive growth in the creative industries. So when you look globally, the creative industries are outpacing growth than any other sector, which is understandable for a lot of global trends, including people coming out of poverty. And globally, those people are consuming more media, they're consuming more luxury items or semi-luxury items, et cetera. So it makes a lot of sense, those trends, but there's relatively little support for entrepreneurs in the creative economy, which is one of the reasons we started this. When we started Creative Startups Accelerator, our goal was to really lift up New Mexicans, and we're a little bit surprised and happy to be contacted by over 30 communities globally who said, can you come do this here? And we said, whoa, we don't know. So we took a year and we figured it out, and we've worked with the Kauffman Foundation. We're now in North Carolina, we're launching in Portugal, and we're talking to about 5 other cities about launching. So what we've done here in New Mexico is going around the world. Any other questions? Oh yeah, good idea, Tom. So one of the challenges that we've noticed, and that other people who work with startups here I know have noticed as well, is that we are not, as a community here in New Mexico, generating as many entrepreneurs into our pipeline as other cities of the same size. So we need to engender a greater culture of entrepreneurship. And to do that in part, we're going to work with Albuquerque Area Higher Ed to do a boot camp where people who are just graduating can get a sense of what if I want to be an entrepreneur? Because it's a big leap to go from thinking about it and maybe having an idea to actually being a person who's raising money and trying to put food on the table. And for me, I know, having 2 kids and a mortgage, there's a real impetus to try and figure it out. But for students, it's easy to sort of say, well, maybe I'll go to Seattle and get a job. But we need to keep those people here so that we continue to grow our ecosystem here. So we're launching a boot camp for people in the creative industries who have an idea about starting a business and want to try that out and work with a group of people who can help them do that, help them talk to either customers or potential customers, meet with investors so they know what those conversations can be like, who those people are. And that boot camp will be in March. And Julia is here, and Julia will be running that.
Question about exposing the startups that you work with other companies locally. I just happened to meet one when I was at a Creative Mornings event, and we ended up using them for quite a bit of our audio-visual stuff.
Good, thank you. You know, that's such a good question, actually. So glad to hear you're going to Creative Mornings. We host Creative Mornings, and we would love for all of you to come to Creative Mornings. It's a really fun get-together of a lot of creative people and a local creative person sharing what they do with their company. We don't have a list, but we know that there's a need for that. It's surprising how many creatives don't know of other creatives. So we're constantly making connections, you know, between maybe a filmmaker and a still photographer. So that's something that we'd sort of suggest to the city that they do as a way to connect people. We do it organically, but I think that'd be a great idea for the city to take on. Phil Torres, yeah. Yeah, he's a great filmmaker. The next Creative Mornings is?
Creative Mornings, we alternate hosting Creative Mornings with the chapter in Santa Fe, so if you're up in Santa Fe, check it out as well. So we just hosted this past month in May, and so we'll be coming up in July, and it's the 3rd Friday of each month. Creative Mornings is always on a Friday. We have 130 chapters around the globe, so if you're traveling, check it out in whatever city you're in, but we will be July 22nd at Cachette, and we'll be talking about love.
July 22nd at Cachette, talking about love. Come fully attired, please. Just making sure y'all are awake.
Just one last thing. If you go to trilumina.com, you can see the videos that Phil put together.
What is the name?
Trilumina.com.
Trilumina? Awesome. Great. Any last questions before I hand it over to Sid? Cachette. Cachette is the dance company that's located over by Santa Fe Brewing. Sure. So as Tom mentioned, you can go on our website and read more about them, but we've had virtual reality companies, tech education, film, advertising, language apps. You'll hear about Etke, Meow Wolf, a little bit of fashion. What else? Help me out, guys. Oh yeah, if you guys know Measle Mods, they do 3D printing.